GearNetwork.com.
The following is a presentation of the Gear Radio Network.
1, 2, 3, 4.
I believe it's a big challenge for our building to keep things in perspective and to, if we're going to get addicted to anything, let's get addicted to the process.
And with that, we welcome you to Trust the Podcast, powered by Better Live Than Dead and the Gear Radio Network. This here is episode 151.
Episode 151, my babies. We are back, season 7. What's good?
I was going to say, not only is it episode 151, but this is the 2024 season preview for the Buffalo Bills. I am Ryan Wolfe.
Yeah, boy. Wow, that was a little on the loud side there. My bad.
That caught me. That's okay. I am Ryan Wolfe, co-host. John Cimino. You can hear us on betterlivethandead.com, gearnetwork.com, and wherever else you listen to podcasts. Also, with the season approaching, if you already have not hit that subscribe button as well, make sure you do so to stay up to date on the latest podcast, because as we will discuss, John, the Buffalo Bills have a very strange schedule this season. Very sporadic, very spread out. It's not your typical game on Sunday, podcast on Tuesday or Wednesday type of deal this season. So we are going to have to be on our toes, and you as the listener are going to have to be on your toes as well. But John, before we get started, before I even ask you how you're doing, you may notice on your listening platform, whether it is betterlivethandead.com, gearnetwork.com, Spreaker, iTunes, Spotify, couldn't think of the word there. You'll notice we have
wherever you stream, you'll
notice we have a new logo for Trust the Podcast, an official logo.
Buddy.
Thanks to our unpaid intern friend of the pod, whatever you want to call him, Chris Downey. Big shout out to Chris and CJ Downey Photos on Facebook.
Absolutely.
He does a fantastic job. I hope I got that name right. I'll have to double check on my phone really quick, but
he does do a fantastic job. And let me tell you how small our worlds are here, because anybody that's listened to this or followed me in any avenue or followed any of my podcasts, anything like that, I think it's common knowledge that, professional wrestling is a very, very, very large part of my life. And I'm heavily involved and have been heavily involved in a while. And out in North Carolina, I believe it was, a buddy of mine who was a ring announcer by the name of Chris Gullo, one of the best independent wrestling ring announcers you'll ever see. If you experience Gullo live, he is a trip. But Downey was working the show, or works the shows that Gullo is now ring announcing, and he moved down there from Buffalo. And it was funny because both messaged me, I'd say within about 5 minutes of one another, letting me know that we're connected now through that. So it was amazing? Really cool. It was really cool to hear that and see that. And it's almost kind of like a worlds collide kind of thing. And then I think he might have shown, or I don't know if he showed or not, showed Gullo the logo or not. But at the time I had not seen it. I wanted to be surprised by it. And I specifically wanted you, Ryan, to show me the logo. So he was like, oh yeah, he said he did. He's guys said he did your logo. I was like, oh, Downey, he's there. I had no idea he was photographing wrestling at all. So now I see his wrestling photos and I'm like, oh, this is really freaking cool. And
he's not just taking photographs of wrestling just in general, man. He was recently at an AEW show. He was at a New Japan show over the weekend. Like he's nationwide, man.
It's awesome, and I'm very happy to see that. And just again, what a small world we live in.
I love it because I got a text message and I'm like, I know exactly who you're talking about, but also this is incredibly strange for me right now. But again, Chris, thank you for the logo. It's CJ Downey Photos on Facebook. Great stuff. Great friend.
Get it right, Ryan.
Great. I did get it right. Great friend, etc. Let's talk about the Buffalo Bills now, John.
Yes, indeed.
Regular season is upon us. I'm jumping right into the three big things here because we got a big topic to start off with. First off, hockey right around the corner, John. Brought to you, our three big things brought to you by puckluck.com, your one-stop resource for all of your National Hockey League sports betting action. Puckluck provides win percentages and score projections for each and every National Hockey League game to tilt the ice in your favor. Not sure what to bet or just in a rut? Not to worry. Puckluck also provides expert picks to get the puck bouncing your way. Please note, puckluck.com No way affiliated with the National Hockey League. It's teamed with NHLPA. Puckluck.com provides data related to gambling and cannot guarantee the success of any suggested or related wagers. As always, please gamble responsibly. Now, John,
I will say before you go into there, we'd be remiss if we did not briefly mention, going on a BLTD thing here, the death of Johnny Gaudreau.
yes, sir.
and Matthew, his brother, as well. Unfortunately, killed last week while they were riding their bikes in New Jersey, and I was heavily impacted by that because Johnny Hockey was my guy.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
I'm a Calgary Flames fan. I watched the dude from beginning to end, even in Columbus. I'm not gonna say a lie and say I followed him to Columbus, but I watched Columbus games because he was there and I wanted to see how he was doing. The same thing I did with Matthew Tkachuk and a few others that have since left the Flames. But once a Flame, always a Flame. Really, really, really sad story. When a career like that has been cut short, but seeing the tributes lets me know that he did good enough to not just be a random hockey player from the Canadian Northwest that maybe not too many people had heard of. Everybody heard of Johnny Gaudreau. He was that good.
He was all of the stories that came out just reinforced how great of a person he was. Not even a hockey player, but just a person.
Absolutely. He was honestly, he was a joy to watch. And I was very happy that he was someone I could claim, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
My team, and so that I do want to send a safe home to the Gaudreaus and best wishes to anybody impacted by it. Obviously his family,
Absolutely.
his friends, but any hockey fans or sports fans that are listening to this that were impacted by that, that one was a rough one.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, to not get too far into it, because it catches me kind of sideways, because I look at the family aspect of it and you start to realize he has two small kids, and I'm just like, that hit me like a truck. I was just like, man, oh boy.
Yeah.
And then you see the posts that the family puts up, and I was almost in tears at a birthday party last weekend reading about it. And I'm just like, man, I can't. This is so freaking sad. But again, you said, John, it's safe home.
Mm-hmm.
I'll
give everybody, and if there's one piece of advice I give everybody here, it's not hockey advice, it's not football advice, it's life advice. Get in the habit of giving people their flowers while they're alive to receive them. I'm in the business of doing that and have been in the business of doing that for a while. It's made my life much more meaningful, and it goes by, man. It goes by quickly between the season finale of Trust the Podcast and now the season premiere. Not to go on a soapbox and not to bring everybody down here, but just perspective. I lost 4 people that I knew.
Yeah.
In that time, and one of them being my aunt, who was on my father's side, like a grandmother figure, a matriarch of that side. And it was a titan of a loss. And that was that's just a couple weeks ago. And I was happy to give her flowers while she was alive. A few years ago when I last spoke to her, we kind of lost touch, but just anybody listening out there, you're holding beef, you're holding a grudge for something, if it's, certainly not, if it's not like detrimental, if it's just he said, she said bullshit that you're holding on to, and it's like, I'm wrong, he's wrong, I'm right. You just got to let that shit go, man.
Yeah.
It just, time flies, man.
I don't disagree with you on that one. And speaking of to transition over to the Bills here.
Yes, thank you.
Giving people their flowers. Josh Allen got the opposite of that this past week. And
what the hell was that about?
Our first topic here today on the podcast, because John, I just can't get over it. Josh Allen, overrated? Now, ESPN released a poll that was, quote, entitled 103 NFL players answer 6 burning questions about quarterbacks. Buffalo's Josh Allen, but I'm writing it more of a centralized version here. Buffalo's quarterback Josh Allen ranked 4th best QB behind Kansas City quarterback Patrick Mahomes, Baltimore quarterback Lamar Jackson, Cincinnati quarterback Joe Burrow. Not very surprising there. The most surprising thing here for me, John, and I'm sure for you as well, having been doing this for so long.
Yes.
Josh Allen was named the most overrated quarterback in the National Football League, receiving 11 votes from, again, players, coworkers, people who watch him play. Philadelphia quarterback Jalen Hurts, Miami quarterback Tua Tagovailoa each received 10 votes. Now, John, I know you know, but I'm just going to refresh the viewers and the listeners here real quick.
Sure.
Josh Allen, 63-30 in 94 career games, 22,703 passing yards, 167 touchdowns, 78 interceptions, along with 3,611 rushing yards, 53 touchdowns rushing, and 1 reception for 12 yards and a touchdown. Furthermore, Josh Allen, per StatMuse, his 26,326 combined yards rushing, passing, and receiving is the most by a quarterback in his first 6 years, also by StatMuse, per StatMuse here. 221 combined touchdowns, that's passing, rushing, and receiving, is most by a QB in his first 6 seasons. But here's the hang-up, John. It's always the hang-up with Josh Allen. Quote, too many turnovers, one NFC West player told ESPN. ESPN does point out since the 2008 season, which Josh Allen was not in the NFL at that point, he leads the National Football League with 102 turnovers. Detroit quarterback Jared Goff is second with 96 turnovers. Now, before I get into to how I feel about that quote and how I feel about this, John, I want to get your thoughts on Josh Allen, the overrated quarterback.
I think, first of all, I want to call in a question. Who are these 103 people that took this survey about quarterbacks? And also, do we know the exact number of how many people are in the NFL? 53 men make a roster.
I mean, 53 times 32.
Times 32. I can't do quick math here, but it's certainly a lot more than 103.
Oh God! Let me do the math here, John.
When I heard this story come out, and I heard it at first on the local news. I didn't even know like it was on ESPN, but like the local news, like Channel 13, was so like flabbergasted by it that they actually made it a story. And the only thing I could think of is that it was a slow news day, and that is why this came out. Anybody who thinks Josh Allen is overrated has not watched Josh Allen.
Need to get your head checked, brother.
And has not watched the Buffalo Bills. And not even just watching the Buffalo Bills, but has not watched football. You haven't watched any game that may have had a highlight of him in there, or you may not have been watching SportsCenter, or you're not watching any of those other shows, or you're not listening to, like, anybody who thinks Josh Allen is overrated. Like, I would expect this out of like South Florida, where Miami,
this is a Stephen A. Smith take, right?
But like to me, Josh Allen is one of the. I know you have top 4th best quarterback here. I've got him in the top 3.
Top four is fair. Top four is fair,
but because he's in my top 3.
And I don't disagree with you, but just to be fair, just to be impartial here, Mahomes, he's the second GOAT behind Tom Brady, or he will be if he already isn't.
I think we've all conceded
Jackson,
that.
Yeah, Lamar Jackson, multiple MVPs. Joe Burrow has been to a Super Bowl, where Josh Allen has not won an MVP, has not been to a Super Bowl. So like in terms of stacking like that, I get it. But at the same time, John, taking away Josh Allen's rookie season, which there are not many players who walk into the league and are incredible. We know that turnovers are bad. That's very clear. You don't want to give the opposing team any free possessions. You want to be able to capitalize on every time you have the ball and minimize the amount of times they have the ball. So obviously giving the ball away, not good. We know that. But we know that arm punts, essentially, we've called, it's been termed arm punts, are Josh Allen's bread and butter. Aaron Schatz tweeted, quote, "It's not surprising that NFL players also overrate the importance of deep interceptions." Now, to go further on that one, to just kind of dig a little deeper into, 18 interceptions doesn't look great on paper. That's on paper, though. When you start to understand what exactly happened, and maybe I'm justifying it, I don't care, because, again, these are all valid points. Aaron Schatz pointed out in an article he wrote. So that leaves the one more question, quote, "Hey, moron, what about the 18 interceptions?" Yes, Josh Allen, and this is all a direct quote, Josh Allen threw 18 interceptions. Did you know that all those interceptions are already accounted for in those advanced metrics that were listed above, where it was like DVOA type of stuff? Nobody's ignoring the interceptions. The issue here is A, Josh Allen's positive plays were worth so much more than his negative plays that he ends up with the most production despite the interceptions. B, his interceptions weren't as bad as you think they were because so many of them came downfield. And C, Josh Allen did not have as many negative plays as you think he had because sacks are also negative plays and he had the lowest sack rate in the league. Furthermore, regarding the distance of Allen's interceptions, the average depth of target on Allen's 18 picks were 26.4 yards. That is by far the longest average distance on interceptions of any quarterback who threw at least 10 of them. Jordan Love's picks averaged 22.5 yards downfield. Jalen Hurts was at 20. Every other quarterback was lower than that. Brock Purdy was actually the lowest with his 11 picks coming in an average of 9.7 yards downfield. Those are some costly picks. The closer to the line of scrimmage, the worse the change in field position value. Also, John, lest we forget, Allen owns the following NFL records in most rushing touchdowns by a quarterback in his first 50 starts with 28 share with Cam Newton, most rushing yards by a quarterback in a single season with 15 share with Jalen Hurts in 2023, the highest passer rating in a single postseason at 149.0 on 22. Also, he's the first player in NFL history to record 40 or more total touchdowns in 4 straight seasons. Josh Allen, always diplomatic, said, quote, "My reaction is I'm not that mad that 11 players not on my team don't like me. I'm just going to keep playing football the way I know how to play it." And John, the way Josh Allen plays football and knows how to play it, been pretty damn good.
Absolutely. 100%. And you know what? Allen's response to that was picture perfect. I know that the sports media and you know, sports fanatic is like, oh man, he's going to have a chip on his shoulder after that. Like, if you're Josh Allen, it's just business as usual. You don't really care. And I'll see all of those points that you had made about, you know, Lamar Jackson with the MVPs and Joe Burrow with the Super Bowl and all of that. And I'll raise you the fact that for 17 years, let's say 16, and no, 17 years, the Buffalo Bills were, quite frankly, a laughingstock in all of the NFL. Like, no one.
I believe the term, John, is dog water.
Yeah, but like Marshawn Lynch famously said he wanted, or no, I'm sorry, it was Willis McGahee that famously said, I want to get out of Buffalo because there's nothing to do here. You know what I mean? And like Buffalo was not a destination. Josh Allen came onto the team. He was wrong, Josh. He took all of that. He took all of that beating, and he took all of the, you know, oh, there's the process. Remember the sarcastic trust the process chants in that preseason game and all that stuff. He took all of that, worked on whatever he needed to work out that first rookie season. And you and I have highlighted this over the course of the past 7 seasons of this podcast. When that switch flipped, it flipped. What Josh Allen means to the city, what he means to the community, what he means to the Bills, now making them a destination where people actually want to come to Buffalo and deal with these winters and all the crap that everybody was saying hindered free agents from coming to Buffalo. Now, Buffalo is a destination. Josh Allen is a very, very large part of that. And you can't take and yes, while he doesn't have the Super Bowl, he doesn't have the, you know, the MVPs, he's in the running for the MVP every single year. He's at least considered every single year. He's won playoff games. He constantly keeps his team in. He's won 4 straight division titles. I mean, it's a marathon, not a sprint. And I understand that, you know, professional football and sports in general wants everything to happen now, but sometimes the best things marinate a little bit. And if this is Josh Allen just marinating, then the second half of his career is going to be fantastic. But I strongly disagree with the fact that Josh Allen is overrated in any way, shape, or form. He's just not.
John, for your record here, 2020 he finished second in the MVP, 2022 third, last season 5th. So again,
still
he's
consideration,
he's up there. And that's obviously all players in the National Football League as well. But I do want to give credit where it's due and respect where it's due. Quote, to some of his peers, same ESPN article pointing this out, to some of his peers, Allen is one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the league. To others, he is overrated because of how many turnovers he commits. And to a plurality voting in this category, he's the biggest trash-talking quarterback in the league. Quote, he's going to run you over and talk trash after he runs you over, one NFC East player said. Allen received 26 votes, with Tampa Bay quarterback Baker Mayfield receiving the second most votes with 17. So again, he staked his claim in the National Football League. He is He ain't afraid to run you over and talk shit to you right after. And that's why we love Josh Allen, because again, at the end of the day, John, what does Josh Allen's behavior continue to display? Major golden retriever energy. He'll yeet the ball downfield. He'll go, crap, that was stupid. And then come back and run you over the next drive and go score 3 touchdowns and beat you by 20 points.
Right.
But then they'll focus on we focus on the fact, John, that in a game where the Bills win by 20 points, Josh Allen throws 2 interceptions or has a fumble or whatever. But it's like, we have to find those storylines to talk about. At the end of the day, as I've gotten older in my advanced age here, obviously, I don't care how you get it done. Just get it done.
Absolutely. That's really the end of the game. Football is a team sport. The champion, the Super Bowl trophy, the Vince Lombardi, is a team trophy. AFC East division champions. It's not a singular. It's not WWE or UFC or anything like that. This is a team sport. And if you ask any quarterback that truly cares, the great ones always say, I would trade all of my accolades for a chip. And that's just the bottom line. It's a team sport. If Josh Allen throws 2 or 3 interceptions, but the Bills still end up winning, I'm looking at it not with the homer hat on. Let's be clear. But I'm looking at it as, all right, win's a win, on to the next. You know what I mean? And that's the mentality that the players and the coaching staff, they have. Sure, they'll go back and they'll revisit some of these things and, okay, well, this is, this result here, this interception was a result of, you not seeing this, this type of defense,
John,
or whatever.
John, in a nutshell, I'm sorry to cut you off here, man, but I can just give you a minute to breathe for a second and just let you know it's the same thing that happened last year with Ken Dorsey. The Bills win, a win's a win. Then we come on here on the podcast, which our job is the job that we have taken on, I should put it that way, that we have decided to do among ourselves each and every single week of the National Football League season, as long as the Buffalo Bills are playing, is to come here and go, okay, yes, but the canary in the coal mine is this. Yeah, the Bills won by 35 points, but Josh Allen wasn't accurate. Or the Bills won by a lot, or won closer, lost big, whatever. But this is what we're seeing. This is what to pay attention to. This is what we're going to look at for the next few weeks. So that's the kind of stuff where, like, I'm not going to sit here and lose my mind over the fact that Josh Allen threw 18 interceptions, because does it suck? Sure. Would you want to see less? Sure. But at the end of the day, he's taking shots downfield and trying to make things happen. Right. Which he's doing it much better than most of the previous quarterbacks before him in Buffalo did. Well, in most of the time, it works out pretty well for the Buffalo Bills in their favor. I mean, I'll be curious this season, though, with the changes that have been made, like how much or how little. I almost wonder, is he going to be Huck and Chuck Josh Allen this year, or is he going to be a bit more reserved? Like, that's what I'm. I mean, we talked about it last. We talked about it in our last podcast, our training camp preview, our preseason preview. That this is Josh Allen's team. They have unleashed Josh Allen to lead this offense, to lead this team. Now that the old dogs are gone, the ones that helped bring Josh Allen into the fray, the ones that helped bring the Buffalo Bills out of the doldrums of ineptitude and the AFC East's basement. But again, it's time now, especially with Josh Allen, and the big contract that he has. We know in the National Football League, you have to win with your quarterback on a rookie deal, or you have to do stuff like the Chiefs, where you're just really good at finding very cheap players or finding players who fit roles on your team for, again, very cheap, because you can't really afford a ton when you're paying quarterbacks as much as they are these days. But with that being said, I mean, look at dude. If Josh Allen's undersigned for the Buffalo Bills, I'm not mad about it. I don't care. He's going to make mistakes. But guess what? Much like the Aaron Schatz article that we pointed out, the good that comes with the bad is much better than the bad. Like, the good is really, really good, if not elite, if not top notch in the National Football League. The bad, it happens, but he's still coming back out with a new mindset and going, I'm going to go down the field and ram it down their throat and go score 7 points. So, and he wasn't always like that. He always, no. You could tell he wore his emotions on his sleeve.
And you could tell when he was rattled, he was rattled. He seems to have shaken that off, which is bad news for opposing defenses, because if he makes this mistakes, he's like whoop, onward. You know what I mean?
Well, hey, John, before we run to our commercial break here, just a quick stat of the day, because we got to bring it back.
Yes.
The Buffalo Bills completed a trade with, shockingly, the New York Jets. The Buffalo Bills acquired cornerback and kick returner Brandon Codrington and a 2026 7th-round pick from the New York Jets for a 2026 6th-round pick. Rich Cimino confirmed a Buffalo-New York Jet trade, quote, hadn't happened since 1987 when Buffalo sent defensive line. I definitely did not get that name. Don Smith, that's what it was. It was not Son Smith. It was Don Smith to the Jets for a 1988 conditional pick. The teams actually made 7 trades in the 60s and 70s, but again, the Buffalo Bills had not completed a trade with the New York Jets since 1987, so reset that clock.
Yeah. Well, didn't they do a trade with the Patriots recently too? Was that last year, or maybe I'm thinking Jets Patriots?
I think it might have been. I think it was a draft pick trade,
something like that. But yeah, it seems like they're a little bit more open to making some kind of in division trades, which is weird. But anywho,
well, my guess there, simple as this, is that the Jets are probably going to cut the player, and the Bills said, "Hey, we see something in him." Which with the new kickoff returns. The kid was very good in college. I say kid, I don't even know how old he is, but he's probably younger than I am. He was very talented with running the ball back, kick return, punt return, showed a lot of potential. They can work with that. So with that being said, John, let's take a quick commercial break. We'll come back with more Trust the Podcast here on the Gear Radio Network. And we are back here on Trust the Podcast. John, we're going to kind of merge things a little bit here because our third of our 3 big things also kind of runs in tandem with our look ahead. So sure, we'll make this a little comfortable, a little fancy here. But before we get started, John, please let the people know our third of the 3 big things predictions for Buffalo's 2024, brought to you by Go Frost Yourself.
Absolutely. And if you want comfort food, you want them good, delicious sweets, Go Frost Yourself, which happens to be located in the city of Rochester, New York, the 585. They do what other local bakeries do not. They bake from scratch, creating recipes themselves and using the best fresh ingredients they can find. Oh my goodness, I can't read, but I've said this a million times. I should know it by heart. To create delicious flavors for customers daily. Molly and Jen. Hi, Molly. Oh, hello, Jen. They've worked tirelessly to create what Go Frost Yourself has become today, and their passion can be tasted in the items that they bake. When you find yourself looking for an item for a special occasion, or maybe you just want to try their incredible cinnamon rolls, or home opener this week, right? Get your sweets for the party. Yeah. If you're local, you can visit Go Frost Yourself storefront at 2544 Ridgeway Avenue or at gofrostyourself.com. Back to you, Ryan.
Hey man, it's the what do you call it? The first week of the season, so there's going to be some hiccups. But hey, you know what? We had hiccups. We had hiccups off the air before the podcast. Now we've got a hiccup in the podcast.
At least not the last. I didn't break out the Mahomes voice today. That'll be for the Chiefs game.
You didn't. At least you didn't say go F yourself. That's also very good. But John, what to expect in 2024 for the Buffalo Bills? We've run over their schedule before, but we will run over it again now. 2024 week 1, they host the Arizona Cardinals, which will be this Sunday at 1 p.m. on CBS. The 4-13 Arizona Cardinals of last season. We'll talk about that in just a few minutes. Week 2, Thursday Night Football on Prime Video. They are at the Miami Dolphins. Week 3 versus Jacksonville at Highmark Stadium on Monday Night Football on ESPN. Following week, they are in Baltimore. Week 4, Sunday Night Football on NBC. Week 5, they take on the Houston Texans. The Stephon Diggs revenge game. I believe that is that. Anything that's not mentioned specifically is a 1 p.m. start on CBS. Week 6 at the New York Jets on Monday Night Football on ESPN. Week 7 versus the Tennessee Titans. Week 8 at Seattle, a 4:05 start on Fox. Week 9 versus Miami. Week 10 at the Indianapolis Colts, trying to get to that game. Week 11 versus Kansas City, a 4:25 p.m. start. Week 12 bye. Week 13 versus the San Francisco 49ers in Buffalo on Sunday Night Football on NBC. Week 14, they take on the Los Angeles Rams, 4:25 p.m. on Fox. Week 15 at Detroit, a 4:25 start as well on CBS. Week 16 versus the Patriots. Week 17 versus the Jets. Week 18 at New England, date and time to be determined. Now, John, before we take our look ahead here at week 1, What are you expecting from the Buffalo Bills in 2024 in terms of a finishing record?
Finishing record. Let's see. Well, I was kind of going through, so I want to just make sure when I look at the list of my notches here that I have tallied the correct amount of games. Does 11-6 sound right to you? 17 games, right?
Yep.
So 11-6 is what I have them in. I have them splitting with the Jets and the Dolphins, and I'm only doing that because I'm a Jets fan. So they're going to get the split there no matter what. But the Dolphins always seem to play them well enough to eke one out. So I've got the split versus the Jets and the Dolphins. I've got them taking the series against New England. I also have them winning the San Francisco game on Sunday Night Football because of the travel and the time of year that it
and the
will
extra.
be.
And I don't know when the 49ers are off, but the Bills will have essentially a little bit more time to rest and recover because they're going to be on Sunday night. But
Kansas City, I'm hit or miss with. I have them marked down as a loss, but it's like a loss with a question mark because it really could go either way.
Buffalo
during the
beat
season,
Kansas City in the regular season, but not in the playoffs.
Yes, but could this be the year that changes? You know what I mean? I have no idea, but I marked them down as a
John. If you have a crystal ball and you can Miss Cleo it and tell me right now they'll lose to Kansas City week 11, but they'll beat them in the playoffs, I would take that 10 times out of 10.
I'm sure I will not. Call me now for my reading. Anyways, and that's pretty much it. I think I have Baltimore winning there only because they're at Baltimore and Lamar Jackson's Lamar Jackson. And then everything else, I have them pretty. Detroit, I have that one's going to be a tough one too. It depends on which Detroit shows up. If it's Detroit from last year, it may come down to the wire, but I do have the Bills beating them there. So 11-6 is where I have them finishing.
So I would agree with you on 11-6. It seems very fair. One thing we haven't talked about yet is Bobby Babich is going to be calling the defensive plays out of the gate. My terminal Bills fan brain immediately thought, well, that's going to be so Sean McDermott can set up a failsafe in case the Buffalo Bills defense is not as good as they once were, which I expect them to be top notch in the National Football League. It's rough that I think that way. But again, John, we've seen this story time and time again. And Sean McDermott, if nothing else, is a man who is very good at self-preservation. So if the defense does go sideways out of the gate or something does happen, I would not be shocked to see Sean McDermott take over play calling again on the defense. But again, 11-6 seems fair, but I will point this out. While 11-6 seems very fair for the Buffalo Bills, they finished 2 out of the last 3 seasons at 11-6. In 2020, we love a good trend here. We love a good trend on Trust the Podcast. In 2020, the Buffalo Bills finished 13-3. 2021, they finished 11-6. 2022, they finished 13-3. 2023, they finished 11-6.
Okay.
So this is going to be
13. Wait, 13 and when did the 17 game season start? Because if last year was 11,
he did not play because Josh Allen did not play. He only played 16 games in 22.
Oh, we're talking about Josh Allen. We're not talking about the Buffalo Bills.
Well, I'm just looking at I'm looking at Josh Allen's records here, but games that Josh Allen has started 13-3, 11-6, 13-3, 11-6. So I'm going to say 13.
Did he miss a game somewhere? Because 13-3 would be 16 games. 11-6 is 17.
I think the standings on this website are messed up.
What website are you looking at?
Oh no, wow, we suck, man.
Uh-oh. What'd you do?
Wow,
did you give a hiccup?
No. You know why 2022 was only 16 games?
Why?
Because DeMar Hamlin died and then came back to life and they canceled.
Oh shoot. Yeah.
But dude, this is again, you talk about reaching out to your friends and saying hello because things feel like they've, time flies.
Yeah. No,
clearly missed that.
Wow. Yeah. No. Now I feel like a big shit right now.
Yeah. So I'm going to apologize for that one because, wow. Someone is yelling at their radio going, you idiots. You're right. Yeah. We are idiots. Yeah, but again, 13-4 or 14-3 feels about right because, again, that's the proper cadence here with the Buffalo Bills records. But again, if an 11-6 season happens, the Bills are going to make the playoffs. That's what I'm getting at. Yeah. And much like cheap plug, the Wolfensteiner Football League, the official fantasy football league of Trust the Podcast. It's not about being the best team in the regular season. It's about making the playoffs, putting your best foot forward, and winning the championship when you make the playoffs. So again, 100%. Make the playoffs. Seven teams in the AFC will make the playoffs. Be one of the 7 and unleash playoff Josh Allen on the AFC, the NFL, the NFC, whomever steps in front of the Buffalo Bills. And I think things will go pretty well. Now, that being said, our look ahead, John. Week 1, Buffalo versus Arizona, 1 p.m. on CBS. Arizona 4-13 last season. Kyler Murray played 8 games after coming off of an ACL tear 2 years ago, a year ago. However, I don't know. Time is hard. 3-5 record as a starting quarterback last season, 1,799 passing yards, 10 touches, 5 interceptions with 244 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns. Have to think Kyler Murray is going to be more comfortable with being a little more active on his feet. We all know that his ability to extend plays, move out of the pocket is what helps him be successful behind center. The one guy that I'm interested in watching, John, wide receiver Marvin Harrison Jr. making his National Football League debut, highly regarded out of Ohio State, a 4th overall pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, son of NFL Hall of Famer wide receiver Marvin Harrison, who may or may not have at one point killed somebody, but that is up for interpretation.
I forgot
John,
about that too.
John, what are you looking for on Sunday? I'm just looking for the Bills to win. However it happens, just welcome back football. Welcome back comfort food, chili, all that stuff. I'm about to get white girl wasted on that stuff. I think I'm looking forward to just Sunday happening, right? And being there. One thing I do want to point out to the members of the Mafia listening though, and I was actually talking to a member of the Mafia a couple hours before this podcast, and he had mentioned that him and his group of buddies that he goes with, their season ticket holders from Rochester, they're actually going to venture out a little early because of the new stadium being built. There's less parking. So Bills Mafia, you probably already know this, but get there a little earlier and plan your travel. You may have to park elsewhere and you may have a little bit more of a walk, but so plan your trip early. But be there, be loud, have fun, don't do anything dumb, and that's what I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to the Monday morning quarterbacking. I think after week 1. Also, too, because I just looked back at my phone again to double check something. The 103 players is 16.47% of the National Football League. If you take 53 times 32. So that is, it's a decent size, but it's still not indicative of. It was a slow news day, Ryan. Those articles are really cool because it's great. You don't get to see behind the curtain often on how players feel about, like, you have I'm completely blanking right now. You have Travis Kelce, Jason Kelce's podcast. I mean, you get Greenlight with the Greenlight podcast. There's a couple other football podcasts, but there's not really a lot that gives you kind of a look behind the curtain. Like I think I look at like in NASCAR, Denny Hamlin has a podcast. He's one of the best race car drivers. He's a Hall of Famer. He's actively driving, and he will actively give you his thoughts week by week, and you kind of get a really good breakdown of how he feels about things, what drivers are saying, what teams are saying, etc. I don't think we get that a lot in the National Football League. So to get that break behind the, breaking down the fourth wall to see what they think about those players, it's very interesting to me. But John, to point out getting there early on Sunday. Make sure you get there early, bundle up, high of 60. Showers in the morning with some clearing in the afternoon, high near 60, winds west-southwest at 10 to 20 miles per hour. With the sea of humanity that is the Bills Mafia, the high may be 60, but all that body heat, it's going to be like 90. I'm disappointed in you, John. You are in off-season form. What did I do? Well, excuse me. Let me. No, not that one. Hold on. All right, I'm sorry. Go on. Maybe I'll pick it up. What are we getting at here? Oh, I'm just reading something about Stephon Diggs saying last season he was in the worst mental space he's been since he's been in the league. And now this season, I'm sure he's good to go, right? That's how it always works. Absolutely, right? Anyways, it's going to be 60, a high of 60, John. And you said with all the sea of humanity, the high is going to be
69.
Thank you.
Nice.
Thank you. With that being said, Boomer, take it away.
No one circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills.
For my co-host, John Cimino, I am Ryan Wolfe. John, as always, let's tell the people we are Trust the Podcast.
You're not.
We will catch you same time. Well, same place, maybe not same time next week, but same place next week. Talking Buffalo Bills, Arizona Cardinals, as well as Buffalo Bills taking on the Miami Dolphins. That being said, as always, thanks for tuning in, everybody, and go Bills.
Ciao, ciao, y'all.
1, 2, 3, 4.
The preceding presentation has been brought to you by the Gear Network.